Alright folks, today we are diving into the beginner's guide to the skills / attributes and the skill trees in Tainted Grail: The Fall of Avalon at the request of some folks who have been chomping at the bit for me to put my guides out. I haven't done a lot of my beginner's guides for this game yet because we've been so busy playing, but I'm finally past the 25-hour mark. I've got my couple of reviews out so I can finally start plugging away at the guides. So we just did the Stealth Archer build guide a little while ago, and now I'm working on this one. So let's get right to it. If you haven't already done so, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Daily streams happen at 5 a.m. Central on YouTube and Twitch. So everything in this game, everything in Tainted Grail revolves around, well, there's multiple layers to this. So there are the attributes, which are the things that govern all of the stats of your character. Your mana, your health, your stamina, your encumbrance, your melee damage, range damage, the price of goods bought, price of goods sold, alchemy bonus, cooking bonus, all that stuff is over here. That is governed in part by your base stats or your attributes. And then each one of these can be expanded slightly to show you what exactly specifically are they impacting. Now, beyond this, each one of these stats directly impacts the type of gear that you can use, because gear in this game is stat dependent, at least when you start getting into the rare gear. What do I mean by that? Well, if you go over here and look at my assassin gear as an example, and we inspect it, it requires dexterity and perception. It's 4 dex and 8 perception. If we look at my daggers as an example, they do 7. The bow doesn't require anything right now. But all of the armor and gear that you have that is blue or better, which is magical or better, does have some sort of stat requirement in order to use, which means if you are looking to create a specific build, you have to be considering what stats you want to take to be able to use those items in the first place. So not only do the base stats impact all of this stuff that's going on with your character, it's also going to impact the gear that you can use. And the better the gear, the more stat requirements it has on it, the higher the stats will be, the more combination of stats that will be required to use those items. Now, this does create a very interesting scenario where if you're trying to create a specific build, but you don't yet know what gear you're going to be getting, you may be spending points blindly. My recommendation here would be twofold. One is that just put points where you generally feel comfortable and build towards the playstyle that you want to have, because generally speaking, you will be able to find gear that matches your playstyle and your gear allotments. As an example, I wanted to create a stealth archer. So the bows, as a general rule, rely upon dexterity and perception. Dexterity, it governs your attack speed, noise, visibility, and range damage. And perception is your critical damage, critical chance, and sneak. So those two stats were already governing the type of playstyle that I wanted to have, and it matches up with most of the bows that I'm going to be using. The exception are the war bows, which are slower bows, but I've used a couple of them which also have some strength requirements, which is why I have a few points in strength, because I've found some bows along the way. Now, there's also a respec potion available in the game called the Origin Potion. It is not readily available. I have found a few of them, but they are found through adventuring. I read online, and I cannot confirm this, but I read online that you can eventually get to a point in the game where you can buy them from a vendor, but I don't know if that's true. It's a rumor at this point, but I have personally found several of them by exploring the game and going into areas and getting them. For those who want to know as a reference point what do they look like, we can go into my potion bag here, and we're looking for that blue potion right there, the Origin Potion. I have one more left on me because I've already respec'd, but I have one more, and I've been saving it so if I find any sort of crazy gear that I want to respec into. But I'm very happy with that stealth set so far. It's been carrying me for like 15 hours of gameplay now, and I don't see myself ever passing up on it, to be honest with you, because it gives me like 30% sneak damage, which is pretty badass. So that's the general basis of the attributes. Now we get into these skill trees. Skill trees are very interesting in this game because they are governed by the actual stat or attribute So as an example, in strength, we see there is a two-handed skill tree, there is a one-handed skill tree, a general skill tree, and an unarmed skill tree. So if you wanted to build like a monk character. Going to endurance, we've got shields, stamina, health, dexterity is pari, attack speed, movement, and bows. You can see I've put a lot of points into bows and movement. Spirituality is the magic casting of the game, so you can go wands and cubes, summoning, combat, or buffs in general. Perception is for stealth, daggers, and critical hits. And practicality governs things like crafting, status effects, armor, and healing with items. So this is where you're not bound by any sort of class restrictions. You can create anything you want. So if you want to create a specific build that you've played in other games, go for it. You can find a way to make it happen here. Like Stealth Archer for me meant putting points into stealth, and a lot of points into bow, and then a couple of like 3 points into movement for the dash ability. Right now I've got I'm fleshing out the dagger line just to get some more backstab damage. I don't do backstabbing very often, but I'm sort of fleshing my character out beyond just the bow now and starting to put more points into dagger proficiency to get more backstabbing damage. So again, but I could start, I could just say, you know what, I've got enough points in bow. I want to start putting points into combat magic, and I could go over here and start putting points into combat magic, which by the way, that's what I built in the Oblivion remastered playthrough we just did. Was I started off as a stealth archer, but then I ended up, once I maxed my speed and agility, I started putting all my points into magic and ended up maxing out the magic stats as well, and casting a ton of spells. I would basically just sneak attack, and if I missed the shot or whatever, I would finish them off with a spell. So it was really nice having like a magic archer build in the Oblivion remastered. So quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload, or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. I may end up putting points here. I don't know. It really is up to you. Where do you want to put the points? And because of the origin potion, if you decide that you get 10 hours into the game, 15 hours into the game, and you decide that maybe you're not feeling the build you're doing, you want to try something else, you can make a hard save, drink the potion, respec your character, go out and test that build for an hour or so, decide if you like it. If you don't, just reload the hard save, try something else out. Like, you have that flexibility to go back and try things at will and just build something that you really want. Now, it's pretty easy to do like traditional builds. Like if you just wanted to make a straight up warrior who uses a sword and shield, you would put one-handed, you would put points into one-handed strength, you would put points into shields in the endurance line, and then you would probably flesh out stamina and health after that as well to bump your hit points up, and bump your stamina up for like melee attacks. You're going to go like two-handed warrior build. You're going to put a bunch of points into two-handed and a bunch of points into stamina so that you can have the stamina to wield that big boy and fling it around and be Conan the Barbarian and just slash everything out. Want to be a paladin? Probably just going to go, to be honest with you, probably ignore. You might put some points in one-handed, put points in shield, and then go over here and go into spirituality and put points into like general and buffs perhaps, so that you can get some spells behind you and do your healing spells. So there's lots of ways to play around with the attributes and the skill trees in this game. In addition, you have what's called the King's Soul abilities. I only have a couple of these unlocked, but these are tied to the main story progression, which are a little bit different. These are like bonus abilities, but mainly you're looking at your attributes and your skill trees and how do those impact your character, and how can you make a build. It really is that simple. There's a lot of flexibility, so you can kind of just do what you want and have fun with it. So I know in a perfect world I would go through this game and play multiple times. I'm not gonna have time to do that this year, but I love the idea of coming back and doing like a straight up like battle mage, because the magic in the system is pretty cool. And a two-handed warrior sounds like a lot of fun as well. But it's up to you. Just go forth and have fun. Hopefully you found this video useful. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Daily streams at 5 a.m. Central, and there's a playlist down below with lots of other guides to Tainted Grail, the Fall of Avalon. So I'll see everybody in the next one.